Good afternoon. I'm Jason Medlock, and welcome to the expansion of consciousness. We have a very interesting topic tonight. What is your higher self, and how can we communicate with it? Yeah, the higher self is a instrument, a very interesting tool. Like any other instrument that you have in your bag, you have to learn how to tune it up, and learn how to use it. When we align ourselves with our higher self, you transform into whoever you're supposed to be, whether that be a carpenter, whether that be a doctor, whether that be a community activist. It really helps you realize the essence of your being. And that's something that we're going to talk about tonight, along with a lot of other topics surrounding how do we communicate with our higher self. I'm going to go ahead and bring on my co-host, Tereska Harrison. Hey there, how you doing, sis?
Hello, hello. How is everyone doing?
All right, all right. I think everybody's doing well. So,
Awesome.
we've been working on this topic and just really trying to um, wrap our heads around it. This is something that the show is expansion of consciousness. That's the name. And when you talk about your consciousness, we know that our consciousness is being beamed in from a higher place. But lo and behold, we're starting to understand that it's being beamed in from our higher self, the actual being, the actual entity that controls our consciousness. So I wanted to just kind of talk about this topic, and I know that you and I were bouncing some top ideas off of each other. Um, you know, just give me your spiel. Give me your first thought on connecting and communicating with your higher self.
It's about building a relationship with yourself. One of the starts is building a relationship with yourself. Getting to know, you know, once you realize who you are and go into that self-realization, once you realize the I am of you, the I am, that will change your daily life. I mean, it changes everything once you begin to connect with and begin to understand and have belief that there is something else that's guiding you within you.
Well, when you work within your higher self, you live in alignment, with your highest calling.
Right.
You know, we have to have guidance, and we have to understand. Typically, we pray to God, and that's cool too.
Yeah.
But when you start to align yourself with your higher self, you discover a level of fulfillment, a level of achievement. Maybe you were a person with a negative or a bad attitude. Maybe you had to overcome a bad habit. Maybe your thoughts are constantly not in the best place. Connecting with your higher self, helps you understand how to think, how to process and act in a way that's more helpful to others around you, and it gives you the tools to acknowledge, and it gives you the tools to break free from different mindsets and different patterns that keep you from achieving your full ability.
Right. And helping you within yourself. It helps you with yourself as well, because a lot of times we live a life in fear and in bondage, and we have all kind of issues that we deal with within ourselves. And when you have that achy feeling in your body, or tightness going on in your body feels which is the
Come
contrast.
on,
It's
sis.
contrasting against the higher self. Your higher self actually knows the better roads down the line. The higher self actually knows your purpose. The higher self actually knows your greatness and knows what you're worth. I mean, your higher self knows all those things, but our flesh, as we live in flesh, we kind of go against that because we learn something different as we grow up, and we
And,
experience different things that contrast against what your higher self and what it knows and believes.
well, we when we were born,
Yeah.
our conscience and our higher self, they take over the avatar, the human body, all the way up to around 8, 9 years old, and then your conscious mind takes over. But until then, your higher self is guiding you and is leading you. Your higher self has already lived this lifetime, but it's projecting an image. is projecting itself within this timeline. And we're not going to get into all of that. That's a whole nother topic, but we have to understand that it has guided us the entire time we're here. It knows everything about us. It knows all our habits. And all we have to do is ask our higher self for help. Our higher self is a powerful being. I mean, ultimately powerful being. And that being is God. And one may say, well, wait a minute. Okay, you just said your higher self, but then now you're saying that being is God. Well, we're all God. We're all connected to God. We're a network of spirits. We're all of God and from God, but we have individualized personalities, which makes us who we are. And the higher self beams that personality, beams that consciousness to you. Now, we want to talk about at some point, ways to communicate, ways to contact. How can we get better? But I don't want to cut you. You were about to say something.
Yeah. I wanted to tag on to what you were saying about being little children, because the other part of that is also when you're little, we are carefree and don't have a worry in the world. We don't care. We don't fear falling. We don't fear any. We trust like none other. I mean, the difference. I mean, we actually are our higher selves on earth, walking in the flesh as children. But as we get older, we learn hesitate. We learn certain things like fear, though, and pain, and discomfort. We learn all those things as we grow older. But if we're just taught as babies how to maneuver through that and how to always acknowledge our higher self and connect with it when we were younger, we would be a better people. As we got older, as we grow older, we would be a better people.
And one of our users is saying, and this is early, and I encourage you guys tonight, please type in questions, follow along with us. We have a lot to talk about, but we want to engage you guys. Yeah. And one of our listeners is saying it's definitely important to see the connection and the dynamic of self. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, it's definitely important to see the dynamic of self, because I mean that's where your growth pattern is. That's where you grow into, you evolve. Let me just say it like that. That's where you evolve. Yes. When you can tap into your growth pattern, when you connect with your higher self, and when you actually do self-realization, that means that you're learning from within.
Yes.
Because your higher self is constantly speaking to you and teaching you and showing you ways, guiding your steps, actually. If you tune into it, but you have to tune into it.
Yes, and you have to tune into it, and we will be talking about different steps to tune into it. But before we do that, let's just listen to a quick video just so we can warm our audience up. Sometimes when we come on here and we talk about stuff, and we encourage people, go and do your research, go and look up some of the things that we're talking about. And sometimes I don't really play a lot of videos because I do my research, I do my studying before we come on, so that we can share knowledge that we've found. But let's just play a little bit right here, and we'll go from there.
In this video, I'm going to share with you a simple yet powerful process to connect with your highest self, your highest divine light. The higher self is the higher dimensional aspect of you that is your core truth, that is one with Source, the one, the divine, the infinite, and that is aware of the specific purpose and mission you as a soul incarnated here in the physical to experience. And so connecting with your higher self empowers you to get that higher divine perspective of you, to clearly know your best steps, or also to simply observe your present situation from the lenses of divine love.
Okay, we're going to stop right because we're going to come back to her. We are incarnated here on Earth, and we are a fraction of energy from our higher self, and we are here for a purpose. We're here to co-create. We're here to experience whatever it may be. You may be a bus driver. You may be LGBT. You may be a ruthless gangster. The experience is what the higher self and what God is wanting. Just the experience, and we're here to co-create. But she said something else. She talked about a universal consciousness. There is a universal consciousness out there, people. There's a universal Christ consciousness that we're all connected to, and that we all get our information from, and that we all pray to. You ever wonder why your prayers are being answered? It's because you're connected to a universal consciousness. Go ahead, Treska.
I just want to add that we are here doing different duties and act different types of people, but the oneness comes in that we all are here to learn how to live life in a higher the higher divine perspective, as you just stated. So we may be that thug, or we may be that doctor, or we may be that whatever we are. How can you be your highest? How can you live that life from a higher divine perspective in what you are and what you were born into? That is the key, and that's the journey. That's the experience that God wants us to have.
Absolutely. We're going to go back and we're going to listen to the rest of it.
From the higher knowing and divine truth that is the divine core of you existing outside of the realm of duality and illusion, outside, above the 3D. There are, in terms of your multidimensionality, different levels of your higher self across different dimensions. And in this video, we're going to focus on connecting with your highest divine self, your highest divine light, and that part of you that is one with divine I am, all that is, and that can most support and guide and assist you in your life.
Now, we are multi-dimensional beings. And we are made of light and sound. And I don't say that lightly, because when these avatars that we're in, these bodies that we're in, when they are no more, we just don't go away into thin air. We leave as energy.
Yes.
We leave as pure energy made of light and sound.
Yes.
But what I would like the audience to understand is that we are multidimensional beings. We're in every dimension. Our higher self, not us per se, but our higher self is in every dimension, projecting a lifetime in each dimension. It may be as an animal, it may be as a high priest, it may be as a engineer, but the beings are living these multiple lives on the same timeline. And we can get deep off into that, but that'll be for another day. But connecting to your higher self is very, very important. I use my higher self multiple times a day. And you and I talked about that even yesterday and the day before that. I access my subconscious mind, which is my higher self, to answer questions, and sometimes you have to use several methods to make sure that you're getting the right answer. There's something called the sway test. And we've talked about the sway test. I think we talked about that last year. But the sway test is a test that you can perform, and you can get the answers from your higher self in real time. And only thing you have to do is stand flat-footed. But what I like to do, I like to go into maybe a 10-minute meditation. And when I go into the meditation, I like to really, really have a clear and an open mind. And once I'm very clear and open, I'll stand flat-footed with my arms to the side with no pressure. I don't lock my knees. I let my body relax. And once I can get totally relaxed, then I ask the question. And if my body sways forward, that means yes. If my body sways backwards, that means no. Now, this is a topic. This is a subject that's out there everywhere. You can do your research, the sway test, and we talked about this before. But the body is acting like a human pendulum. And that is just one of many ways that we will talk about tonight on how to connect with your higher self and how to get answers from your higher self. But more importantly, how to align yourself with your higher self so that you can connect with your greatest and your highest use.
Yeah. And also just get to know you better. Because when you're out here and you're trying, just typically, like for me, instance, in writing letters, and
Mm.
I chose to write letters to, you know, hash out questions and hash out issues that I might be having within myself, and trying to find ways to release blockage here and there. And you want to find all types of techniques such as that, especially when you're sitting around, you're meditating, and you're not getting any answers, you're not really hearing from God, but then there are techniques around that are involved that we can actually lean on to really help us connect even more. And so that's a wonderful, I love that actual technique.
And we'll talk about the techniques a little bit more, but let's continue to share different ways that we access the higher self, different ways that we communicate with the higher self. And one of the ways I told you just a minute ago was the sway test. And another way is through remote viewing. And those who follow the show, we try to offer the remote viewing session at least once a month. And what remote viewing is locating an unknown object in any time, any space, past, present, and future. But how do you do that? That is totally driven on communicating with your higher self.
Yeah.
And the way you do that is that you go into a meditation and you come out of the meditation and then you start to focus on a group of numbers. Now, this is a totally different method of how to connect with your higher self, but you're using it for something that's maybe not interesting to you, but you're using it to locate or to find a particular item, a particular object describing a location or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But we will talk about a lot of different ways, a number of ways that the higher self can assist you. But I can't say one thing: you must, because incarnated. We are incarnated here on Earth as free will beings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Our higher self will help us, but it will not help you to the point where you're not learning. You have to show some sort of ability to learn, and it will not intervene unless you ask it. So if you're praying, if you're wanting God, if you're wanting oneness, if you're wanting Mother, Father, God, I mean, it goes by a lot of different names, but if you're wanting assistance, God, I want, if you would just help me this one time. My son is in college. My daughter is getting ready to graduate. I need to figure out how I'm going to make this happen. I
Mm-hmm.
give you permission to intervene in my life because God gives us free will, Tereska.
Yeah. And just then that's good. And you have to be intentional about your desires, and very specific, about the things you need and the things you want. And then look for it. I mean, just begin to look for God's the movement, expect it, the movement to happen, and keep doing it and keep doing it, because sometimes he may not show up right away. Just because you said it don't mean he's gonna be, I mean, he's there, but you haven't connected quite yet. So he wants to know, how much do you believe it? So if you keep moving forward in the actual exercise and being intentional about connecting and getting real close and getting to know yourself, then God will move, and he'll reveal himself, and he'll show all the different dynamics of the spirits. So you'll get to see all that.
Well, the thing about it is, we've been involved in a book club
Mm-hmm.
since January 2022.
Yes.
Here it is, about to be July 2022. We're going into our second quarter. In our first quarter, we focused on writing down affirmations,
Yes.
and really, really focusing on our goals and our path and our mission.
Mm-hmm.
But were we writing it to ourselves? Were we writing it to our girlfriend or our boyfriend or our husband or our wife? No, we were directly communicating with our higher self. And when you say affirmations, when you manifest, when you are trying to program your subconscious mind,
Mm-hmm.
you are directly communicating with your higher self. And your higher self hears everything. It sees everything. It knows everything. It's already lived the lifetime you're living right now. We're just at a different timeline. But it wants the being that is projected its consciousness and its energy to to live that lifetime and understand how to communicate and how to find God, how to work your way back to finding God and how to communicate. How to co-create at the same time. And what's interesting is while we were in this, well, while we're still in it, it's an entire year of manifesting. You guys should join us the next time. It's an entire year of manifesting.
Yeah.
Now we're at the second quarter of this manifesting, and we've been using the water alchemy technique.
Yes.
And we've been doing something very, very interesting. And I'm gonna let you talk about that. And this is a very unique way, not a unprecedented way, but it's a unique way to connect with your higher self and get answers and continue to program and build the relationship. And once you finish, I'm going to talk about this relationship that we have with our higher self.
Well, I just wanted to say this real quick, but be still. The Bible tells us and know that I'm God. I'm just be still and know that I'm God. In connecting with your higher self. A lot of times in that movement, the stillness comes from the listening and the tuning in. The stillness comes from the activation of your trust and belief that there is a guiding spirit, a guiding light. Like, there's a higher light there that wishes to maneuver and do those things for you. So my task and I just want to give you my experience is resting. My task has been resting in that, just resting and being still in that. Although I've been intentional about my movement toward certain things, but just resting and relaxing and trusting the process. So one of the things water alchemy is speaking into the water and
Yes.
trusting that process and knowing that God created the water is a mysterious and mystical thing.
Yes.
Water is it is oxygen in it, and you can actually in its memory. Water holds memory, and we all know. I don't know if everyone knows, but water holds memory. So if you can begin to speak into the water, how wonderful is that? You can speak to the water and speak into the water. And give that your affirmations
and give gratitude. Give gratitude to everything you eat in the water.
Absolutely. Give gratitude and thanks to the water. And as you're speaking and you're talking into the water, then you drink the water. And that's what we do. Every 3 times a day, we drink the water. And the belief is that it connects with our inner cells and inner body and the things that are going on in our body as it begins to communicate, because there are molecules and all those things that are working inside us that communicate with one another. Mm-hmm. So the water going down does the same thing, and it just kind of shifts the understanding, shifts your body, helps you with true understanding, and it helps you with connecting better with that thing that you just said, and it helps you with the belief of it all. Because a lot of times we can say we believe a thing, but have we really internalized it in a way that we deeply really believe that thing?
So you've had some success, and you've really looked at a number of ways while we're in this club on connecting to your higher self. And one of the ways we've looked at connecting, and well, let's just talk about the paths. I mean, how many ways can you do it? We know that meditation is one. We know that you can connect literally through self-reflection. You can connect to your higher self by reading high text material. They call it super text material. Mm-hmm. Journaling, that's connecting to your higher self. Spending time in nature, which I know you love. Yes. And anybody who's empathic loves spending time in nature, because the trees are wonderful.
You feel the energy.
You feel the energy.
You feel the energy of the nature of the movement of nature. You feel that.
And you can connect, typically if you're with a spiritual coach and he's in there or she is leading you through some sort of guided meditation or some sort of experience, it's easy to connect that way. I think that people need to figure out which is the best way for them to connect. And there's no correct place, Tereska. There's no right or wrong, but just understand that there are many ways. But I want to talk about journaling. Okay. And I know that you have a number of journals that's directly connected to situations in life, but you are tying these situations in life to your higher self, and you're explaining how your higher self has aided, has basically given you the tools you need to succeed. And what we've done is we've gone back and said, we're going to make sure that we reinforce that fact. And we're going to write, we're going to journal to our higher selves, and we're going to speak about it.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, one of the writings was on hard times. We did something on law of attraction. We did several different ones, but it was really taking what you've experienced in life, like in hard times, whatever the struggles were, and realizing and acknowledging and being grateful to your higher self for leading, guiding you, and giving you revelation and understanding on the hard times, and how those times were meant to teach you and grow you, and I'll do all those wonderful things that hard times does for you. You know, it's not, hard times don't come to you just to experience pain, but there's a growing process there. And so I connect to my higher self in knowing and recognizing those hard times. I connect with my higher self, being grateful for them, thanking God, thanking God. I call my higher self God. So call God for that, because I want to get to the highest level. I don't go to those different realms. I'm at the highest level, speaking with God, and then connecting to all the different types of the different hard times that I'm dealing with. I connect with connecting that to God, and then just showing them and realizing how he's cultivated that, and it's growing me at the same time as a person, and as an entity here on earth. So that's one of the letters. It's just really giving thanks and recognizing those things and how it's part of my growth. And then law of attraction, and realizing what we're made of, that you're made out of energy, and realizing that God has put a law in place, and just being grateful and thankful in that area as well. And then showing how you've used certain exercises, through medication, those exercises that we've used, or that we've all used, and how that has changed the trajectory of our life, and how we do things, and how we attract things, and how we actually have manifested things through law of attraction. So that has been, doing these letters have been the best thing, I think, for me, exercise wise, and connecting with my higher self, because it really focused me more, and I was able to be really intentional and really about what it is that I've experienced, and then what it is that I've gained, and then what it is that God is really doing.
Do you have a topic handy that we can talk about on one of your letters?
Well, the law of attraction's one. Do you want to talk about, or what about be the energy you want to attract? Talk about that one. Be the energy you want to attract.
And you know what? I remember that one. And when I wrote to my subconscious, and the topic was be the energy you want to attract. Yeah. And I talked about how my subconscious and how my higher self had put me in a place to understand how to start the affirmations of faith. And when I was writing the letter, I said, thank you for allowing my sister Tereska to introduce me to the affirmation of faith. It helped me be trained in a routine to constantly speak about things that I wanted to do, speak about the way I wanted to be, speak about the person I wanted to become. And after doing that over and over and over, your higher self understands that, okay, you want to be first team WAC conference. You want to lead the team in tackles. You want to have A's in college. And those were my initial affirmations that I was saying while I was in college. But it wasn't until I was a little bit older that I understood that the reinforcement of what you are saying, or what you are praying for, is actually messages to your higher self. Yeah. And the more your higher self understands that, okay, so you really, really want this loan so that you can buy this new home, I'm going to start to connect you with people, different energies that share your same energy. And then you're like, oh, I met this guy who is a mortgage broker, and he figured out a way that I didn't have to put any money down. And I met him through a friend of mine. Well, actually, your higher self put that person in contact with another energy, which was probably your friend,
Yeah.
who then referred him to you. It's about backtracking and
Yeah.
understanding, how did I get what I asked for? And once you can come to that realization that, wait a minute, these things are happening for me. God is working with me. Yes, your higher self, God, Christ consciousness is all working for you. But the relationship, Tereska, the
Yeah.
relationship with the higher self is important. And we have to understand that we're all connected. God, our higher selves, us as human beings, and that when we are asking, and I
Yeah.
was reading in one of Dolores Cannon books, I believe it was one of her books, and she did a regression therapy session with a young man who was, I believe he had some sort of liver damage.
Mm-hmm.
And when she regressed him back to a different lifetime, she saw where he was in so much pain in another lifetime, and he was a woman, and he had been beaten by a group of guys or what have you, and it was in his abdomen area. And that incident moved forward in his life and manifested as a liver or a disease. So when
Right.
Dolores got through finding out in this session she had, the regression therapy, that's when you regress someone back to different lifetimes. Um, she called in the higher self, the subconscious mind. And if you don't know what that means, it means that when you're regressing someone, you can actually call in the higher self and it will speak to you. It will talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
And with the heart, she asked, well, can we help John deal with this pain in this particular lifetime? Can we rid him of this pain? The higher self responded, but he never talks to us. He never appreciates what we're doing.
Mm.
You have to build a relationship with God. You have to build a relationship
Yeah.
with your higher self.
Yeah.
And it is, it
Yeah.
goes without question that once you do that, once you're able to have that one-on-one, and that you're able to speak to God, and people do it, in church, and when you pray,
Yeah.
you hear him speak to you, and people do that. So I want people to understand that building that relationship with your higher self is very, very important when you're trying to move towards reorganizing, bringing things into your life that you want, and understand that the realm of your subconscious is infinite.
It,
It's
it,
infinite.
it most definitely is. The realm of consciousness most definitely is. And when we're talking about the energy, I want to go back on the energy that you want to attract.
Mhm.
That kind of being that energy. So and it's connected to the story you just told. Just think about having that issue going on in your life. You're having pain, and people try to be, oh, I want to be positive. I want to try to be positive, but then there's negatives kind of pull you down, and you have a hard time adjusting your body, adjusting your physical body
Mhm.
to this positivity you're trying to have in your mind. So the thing is, when he tells us to be the energy you're trying to attract, it's a struggle sometimes, and you really have to do these different exercises and work this way, and appreciate the fact that God has given you these instructions on how, all these different tools on how to raise that energy, that vibration level,
Yes.
because the truth of the matter is everything is vibrational on this earth. And so when everything moves at a different frequency, and we know that there are different hertz and different frequencies, there are a lot of different things. And if you want to track money, let's say if you want to track certain things, then you got to raise your vibration to that level, and you really have to work at it, because sometimes there are some generational things that pass down on you, in your past life, or however you wanted to put it, that has attached itself to you and has carried on. And it's a fight to remove that thing.
Now, let's talk. I want to talk about a lot of the ways that, not just me, but I'm going to talk about some of the ways I communicate with my higher self.
Yeah.
And I found some stuff on the internet as well, which coincides with what I'm doing. I've tried everything, you know that. So, but the first thing, lucid dreaming. You know,
Okay.
when you dream and you communicate with your higher self,
Yeah.
um, really you're in that mental state. You're in that mental reality. I mean, when you're in REM, REM, that's one of the ways that you're being communicated with, and that you can be communicated with, is while you're in the REM state. And
Yes.
you're having these dreams, and you're meeting God, and you're meeting people,
Yes.
you're controlling your dreams.
Been there.
You know what I mean? So lucid dreaming is one of the ways that, I've connected before with my higher self. And, there are several books out there on lucid dreaming. So I encourage, our audience to, check that out. Now, meditation. And I meditate twice a day for 20 minutes. Now, I'm a TMer, transcendental meditation. But once you reach a level of meditation, and this meditation, around the 10-minute mark for me, 7 to 10 minutes, I take a deep dive.
Yeah.
And I'm moved so far down into transcendence, meaning that I'm just dealing with consciousness and thought. There's nothing else. I have my dark sleeping mask on, and my eye mask on, and I'm literally just dealing with just thought.
Yeah.
And I start to ask questions, and I start to communicate with my higher self, and I visualize myself talking to my higher self and getting the answers I want. But the only way I can get this is about being very, very quiet. And people think that your higher self is separated from you. No, that's not true. Your higher self is your consciousness. It's not separated with you. It's always present with you. And you said it a minute ago, it's characterized by high vibrational frequency. So you can feel when God is in your presence. You can feel these things when you're in deep meditation. So that's another way that I connect with my higher self, is through deep meditation.
Well, maybe you can offer a guided meditation for the audience, one show, 5 minutes. That'd be great.
We'll do a guided meditation, and that'll be great for people to just kind of join in. But another method is astral projection, and it's also known as having an out of body experience. But since these energies, when you're able to leave your body and you're guided by your spirit guides, we have to look at that and think about that for a second. We're all made of energy, and when you are guided by spirit guides, they're actually another aspect of your own energy. Okay. They're another aspect of your own energy. So when you realize you're out of your body and you're not, you're in your astral body, you're able to go to dimensionally. You're able to travel. You could possibly even have a one-on-one with God, with the creator himself. So astral projecting, Taruska, is another way I've used to connect to my higher self. And then people will say, well, what do you do? I mean, do you ask them for stuff? And then what do you? No, no, you don't ask them to buy your car. You don't. What I do is I try to find out, am I on the right path? What are the questions? Am I on the right path? Am I using my abilities for the greatest and highest use for all? Listen to what I'm saying. Greatest and highest use for all. You can get solid responses from your subconscious mind if it is about increasing the vibration of humanity. What about making money? Well, if you word the questions right, money is a byproduct of what you're asking for, but you just have to word it right. I want to open up a institute of reading so that I can teach all of the young kids in my neighborhood and educate them so they can live better lives. What a byproduct is getting a grant or having some sort of mechanism where you can charge a fee to whoever to be able to put this program on. So never, never, never go into meditation or go into whatever method when you're speaking to your higher self and it be all about money. And the last one, trust, is imagination. And I use my imagination a lot. And I learned this technique from a guy named David Wallace. He's a good friend of mine. And he says, Jason, when you're accessing your subconscious mind, and he was teaching me a technique in something called associate remote viewing. When you're accessing your subconscious mind, you need to have a little bit of imagination. And I'm going to show you a technique on how to locate injury or disease in a person's body. He said, but imagination plays a key role in you being able to understand this technique. And wow, I mean, he really, really, it just really, really shocked me. You can create a lot of things, you know, by imagining them. But when you imagine things, your higher self sees it. There's nothing that's impossible for your higher self to provide to you. And basically, trust, that's all I have on that one.
Wow, I wish you'd go in a little more in depth in that imagination, because that's pretty interesting, because I never really heard that part.
Well, you can imagine, like for instance, David was doing he had a client who was sick, and she said, David, can you help me? Can you tell me what's wrong with me? And David says, okay, I'll do a session. I'll do a remote viewing session. And David found that she had, there was something she had an aneurysm or something, but there was something going on in her head, and he pinpointed exactly what it was. And so David said he saw some sort of a rupture in a vein. So David said he imagined how it would be if he could take the ruptured vein, and if he could uh, put an incision on this side and an incision on this side, and he could bypass it to the other side of the vein so that the blood would flow. So he told her, and he drew a sketch, because this is what he thought, on how her doctor could perform this surgery.
Oh, wow.
And she gave the sketch to her doctor and said, listen, my psychic, or my healer told me to show this to you. Tereska, I believe it was a technique that was kind of cutting edge technique that, the doctors knew about. She's like, well, how did this guy know this?
Wow.
And David said, I imagined it. It was in my imagination. It just came to me.
Okay.
So, but listen to this. But where's the imagination coming from? I mean, there are two parts to your imagination. It's you as the human avatar that's actively imagining, and you're connecting with the higher self who can provide and do anything in a parallel reality. So as long as you remain open to receive information,
the law of allowing, that's what that
allowed, you have to believe. But as long as you are open to receiving information, you cannot receive with your conscious mind. I didn't say subconscious mind. You cannot receive anything from God, from your higher self, from oneness, from your conscious mind, because you know what we are? We're too smart. We're too analytical. We know everything. Well, that's not possible.
Right.
But that's your conscious mind speaking. But when you remain open, you have to remain open to the possibility of anything can happen. And whenever it comes, you have to be silent. You cannot hear. You've told me many times, if I get quiet enough, God speaks to me. I can hear him. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to say that, we have one of our contributors, Carrie. Carrie's a Reiki master here in the area, and quite frankly, very talented. Carrie says, think it, see it, believe it, walk in it. Mm-hmm. And Tasha says, believing is so important. It's so important. Believing is really 90% of any type of spiritual modality that you're inclined to try or believe in. I mean, believing is so important. So let's get back, and let's listen to a little bit more of our video.
So I'm going to tell you real quick how we're going to do this practice, and then I will invite you to join me in doing it now. If you would like a complete guided meditation for connecting with your higher self, I will put a link up here and in the description. I channeled a meditation with Archangel Michael for embodying your highest divine light, so check that out as well. But essentially, you're able to do this. You innately have a link with your highest divine self and with the core divine truth of you. To reconnect with it, it's about clearing your mind, silencing your thoughts, and tuning in to a relaxed, present point of being fully here now. When you're relaxed, you're then able to consciously call in light around you in a way you can feel, perceive, and experience, and then call forth your highest divine self to lower down, to move in all around you, to embody through you. As you then relax and allow this higher self embodiment to happen, keeping your mind clear, focused on your breath, present in this moment now, you can then receive guidance from your higher self, as well as a profound frequency shift from changing your state of embodiment through awareness. In addition to being aware of yourself as a physical being, a personality self present in the physical world, you can retain awareness of the higher divine truth of you and your higher self, which has so many benefits in your life. Ultimately, spiritual growth is the process of embodying your highest divine self, your highest truth, more and more as you go about your everyday life. And practices like we're about to dive into will help you to consciously call forth that experience to create a tangible and real shift in the moment. So let's go ahead and do this now. Sit.
So, again, some of the same things that you and I have been talking about. And we're playing these videos to sort of reinforce the methods that you need to use in order to connect. And understanding your higher self is projecting you into this reality. And I know that we can't perceive it, and I know that we feel like we're separate, and I know that what do you mean projecting into this reality? But we have to imagine, if our higher self was helping us in this way, it is at a distance to us. It is at a far, far distance, observing the timelines in which we exist.
Right.
So you don't have to get that far to understand. How am I able to do this? Or, just the thought of me being able to develop a relationship with someone that's unseen. You have to believe. You have to trust yourself. And just that whole situation with prayer, we trust God. We need to know that our higher self is always there to us. It's always there for us. It's more advanced than we are. It's more an advanced version of us, of ourselves. It's connected with us. It can understand what you're saying. It can understand the degree of your pain. It helps you, but it won't help without permission. And
Absolutely.
we're in this third density reality. And for some, you may not know that there are up to 13, 17 dimensions, 9 that scientists have really, really figured out. And we're separated by frequency, only frequency. So when you vibrate higher, you're able to experience those different situations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're not here alone. We have to know we have a help that's on this earth with us. We have help. So we're not just here. So those of us who walk around and think that we're doomed or life is not worth living, or we don't, everything seems to be going against us. We have to know that we're not here alone. So
Right.
the recourse in all of that is to sit still, be still, and know that I am God, it says, and then sit with yourself and understand that you are more than what you see. You're more than what you see.
And that's really big. And now, once we have actually connected, and we've talked about different ways to connect, okay, we know that the higher self would not infringe itself on you. We know that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you have to ask, and don't ask open-ended. Okay, make sure that you're asking very, very pointed questions of your higher self, so that you can get the answers. Your higher self, to us, it really wants you to have your own experience. It wants you to allow yourself to figure things out. And we talked about that earlier. And, figure things out for yourself, decide for yourself, move and walk for yourself, do everything that you need to do on your own. And the higher self will come in tough situations that you could, maybe use some help with, and help you really try to navigate through those type of things. So
You know
now,
what was my compass to knowing when I am actually connected and aligned with my higher self? It is when I feel free in my body and when I'm moving and I know that I'm in line, then there's no blockage and there's no bondage, there's no pain or there's no tightness going on in my body. That is a great compass to know when you have aligned yourself and that you're on the same road as your higher self. That you're in some being guided by him, her, your higher self. So that's the way of compassing and knowing when you have actually aligned.
yeah, EG says learning to listen to our heart's wisdom is essential to progressing in our spiritual journey and developing a deeper connection with our higher self. And we've been preaching that. Learn to listen. Learn to just quieten yourself. And I want to give some pointers, and I want you to chime in as you wish. And I know you will anyway.
Yeah.
But here are methods that we use in a lot of our sessions. This is how we connect every day. The first thing, you have to set your intentions to communicate with your higher self. But setting intentions is probably one of the more overlooked tools that we have in our bag. And for those out there that are listening right now, setting intentions are so important. Your mind has to know that you're going to make a in that class, or I'm going to get this shot. You have to set the intentions, set the tone. It's like we do in football. You set the tone. You make that first tackle of the game. You let that other guy know I'm here. Okay. But set your intentions daily on exactly what it is you want to do. And the second thing is make sure you ground yourself. And I'm going to let you talk about grounding.
Well, it's all to align yourself with the energy. You're grounded, and also it calms you. It gives you, it cleans you up. It gives you in a place of peace and joy and just centering. It's just a way of centering yourself and grounding. You usually do that by outdoors with nature, or go outside and barefooted, or bare feet, or you can have with no shoes on, no socks, none of that, and get in the grass or touch a tree, because that high energy calms you. It sometimes people like water. You just sitting out and just listening to the sounds, and anything that can settle you or ground you, get you in a place of peace and centering.
And I'm gonna add this to it. Grounding also helps clear blockages and fear.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Blockages and fears. Now we already almost at an hour, so we're not gonna go into that. But if you have fears of just whatever or blockages, well, what is blockages? Well, that argument you had with your aunt, that lady, the girl, the woman at your job that you hate, your boss that you can't stand. That's a blockage.
Fear you can't release.
Oh, a fear you can't release. I'm not driving my car over to that neighborhood. Oh, I ain't driving my car to no concert. I'm just, we're being funny, but we're illustrating that blockages and fear will hurt you. Okay, now have an open mind. I'm giving you daily tips. Have an open mind when you're trying to connect with your higher self. You can't have a closed mind. I heard this on this show, and I don't even know if these people know what they're talking about. Yeah, but have an open mind. And while you are in the moment of connecting with your higher self, try your best to sense any different energies that are present, anything that you can feel that feels different. More than likely, you have a presence with you that's there, that's loving, that's caring. Watch out for sensations, though. You want to feel these sensations of laughter or joy, or after you've asked for something, just be quiet and be still. Okay. And the sensations are calm. And then after that, you go ahead and ask the questions that you want, and you have to just wait and see what happens. Things can pop in your mind. So you could hear something. You just have to pay close attention. And
Hmm.
Typically, and we're going to go through different levels of awareness while you are connecting with the higher self. And one of those is clairvoyance. And clairvoyance deals with visual images, Tereska.
Mm-hmm.
Images that you just happen to see. You know, there are a lot of clairvoyant people that get pictures, that get information. And I'm clairvoyant. I receive images in my mind that I interpret, and do a mathematical calculation to find out the answer to a future event. Now that's just me. Now I've learned how to do this. I've trained with people to learn how to do this, but for the average person or the person who has a level of clairvoyancy, when you're praying or when you're communicating with God or you're communicating with your higher self, if you're getting visual images, then you have a level of clairvoyancy. Clairaudience. That's when, and I know that. Let me just leave that to you. That's when what, Tereska?
You audibly hear the sounds of the spirit, the Lord. You hear some outside the realm of going on. You hear sounds
Let's talk
going
about
on.
some of your
The speaking
experiences.
to you going. The
Let's talk
speaking
about some of
going
your
on.
experiences of hearing.
Yes, a hearing thing, and I get that from time to time. So I hear a calling of my name or different stuff, but that happens as well.
So when you say, "Oh, did I just hear my name call?" Was that it? Is now I
And
can say I
it's
can
a
say
deeper kind of
I have an
sound.
experience. I can say I had an experience clairaudience, but I know several people who have.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that it's real, and I know that people hear um, God speaking to them, and that is absolutely fabulous. Clairsentience. These are now clairvoyancy, clairaudient, and clairsentient. Clairsentience, clairsentience is getting a feeling of love. And while you're in a deep meditation, and all of a sudden you have an overwhelming feeling of love. That means that you have a level of clairsentience ability, and that is the level of communication that you're getting. So pay close attention to what you're feeling and how you're feeling. Claircognizance, Tereska, and I know that we were going to put these up, so let me just go back and I think the first one we talked about was clairvoyancy, okay, and that's picking up visual images for those who are taking notes. And we're talking about while you are connected, uh, while in the deep meditation, while in the moment of you asking or communicating. If you're picking up images, there's a strong possibility that you're clairvoyant, and and you're able to look at these images. And sometimes these images have a lot of information inside of them. And we came back and we said clairsentient. Okay, clairsentience is a strong feeling of love. Okay, strong feeling of love that comes over you while you're in that meditation. That means that you're not alone, that some presence is there with you and it hears you, and just continue to listen and continue to speak. And we talked about clairaudience. And clairaudience is just being able to hear what
Spirit.
actually is being said.
In the
Okay.
spirit.
Now, claircognizance, the feeling of knowing. And I think that all of us have a level of claircognizance. Sometimes, and I've been, I've lived my life, and I'm still living my life. I'm still learning, but I always wanted to go to this event and be at that event. But something came over me at some point, and I had the feeling that there was going to be a change, and I was going to be doing something different. And I asked the question, why is there a change? But I already knew the answer to it. So claircognizance is knowing the answer to the question before you even ask it. And if you have that ability, that's sort of what you're experiencing. And I know
That's a wisdom. That's a level of wisdom.
it's a level of wisdom. You're absolutely right. Um, you know, sometimes, you can get a full vision. you can just get a total vision of God, a situation, a dream. I have friends that get visions and they actually come true. And it may not be but a year later or 2 years later, but people get visions. Okay. So that could be one of the ways that you communicate it back to is getting a vision. And finally, remember to thank your higher self. Thank
Mhm.
Mother, Father, God. Thank your spirit guides. Thank God Himself.
Angels.
Thank the angels. Thank your guardian angels. You have to give thanks because it's all about love. And it's
Yeah,
a reason that Puff Daddy changed his name to Love.
that's the bottom line. Is nothing. That's the center of it all.
That's the center of it all. And
And
that
one of your listeners said heart wisdom. You mentioned one of he said heart wisdom, which was it stuck out with me because it's all about in love and how we the experience of love and journey how we use that wisdom with that love. I mean, that says it all for me.
it does. If we haven't done anything else tonight, it I want the audience to take away that whatever it is, if it's reading, if it's writing, if it's jogging, if it's sitting in a quiet place, if it's meditation, if it's dreaming, if it's astral projection, whatever method you have to slow down your conscious mind so that you can connect to your higher self, then use it. Because the experience, the infinite wisdom that you can gain, it's unimaginable. Unimaginable. And we have a group of 4 that decided to do this manifestation club. And I can tell you, and I'm gonna have these ladies on at some point once we finish this, and we're gonna share the journey that we've been going through since January and that will end in December of the numerous ways we're learning to connect to our higher selves.
Yeah.
And there are already so many success stories within this group of ladies that are meditating, ladies that are actually manifesting, ladies who are connecting to their higher self by journaling. Isn't that amazing?
Wow, it's being intentional. It's very amazing because what it is we were intentional. We made the decision to be intentional about building our relationship with ourselves. I mean, and then as we write our letters, we're intentional about speak loving ourselves and appreciating ourselves, and and just connecting with it even to that higher level. So it's very humbling and and it's and very engaged. We're so engaged, and it's exciting. It's really exciting. So we look forward to it every week. To have our, when we have our talks, we look forward to every week because
Wow.
it's all about building and growing stronger in your relationship with yourself. And you know how it is with a relationship with a normal person. You want to build those things, and when you bond, when you get closer and closer, it's like bliss, heaven,
And you hit on build.
heaven here on earth.
Your higher self build a relationship with your boyfriend, and then you married him. You build a relationship with God, which is your higher self, which is actually
Yeah.
you. Build that relationship, communicate.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you the last word, Ruskin, and I'll go after you.
Last, know that we are love. We're all about love. And as we move toward moving life as love, connect to the wisdom and understanding of what our purpose and the journey that we are to lead, and live it and experience it with love, peace, and joy.
Mm. And I like to say that understand that we are multidimensional beings living many lives in many different lifetimes through source, through our higher self.
Hmm.
But we have to understand that this being is, you wouldn't understand the level or comprehend the vastness that they can offer you. And if we quieten ourselves, if we take the time to spend quiet time with ourselves and begin to move into a deeper place mentally so that you can sit and you can listen. And after a period of time, start speaking, start asking, and then listen. Start speaking, start asking, and then listen quietly. Remove every fear that you have, remove every blockage that you have before you try this. I don't know. This is an exciting time. The technology has changed. You don't have to beg somebody to be on a TV show to share your thoughts. And, the community that we are a part of, this is not something that we typically learn. We are Methodist. Um, so we've learned aspects of what we're talking about tonight, but when you move more towards metaphysics, which is unseen forces, things that we cannot see, it's not researched a lot. And that's not talked about a lot in the Black African American household. So, but we have to understand that there are powers and abilities that we have that allow us to become supernatural, to become who we want to become. But it starts with developing the relationship from within. From within. I'm your host, Jason Medlock, and this is the beautiful Tereska Harrison. You've been listening to the Expansion of Consciousness. Follow us on Facebook, Expansion of Conscious. Follow us on YouTube, Expansion of Consciousness. We're on TikTok, Expansion of Con, and we're on Instagram, Expansion of Con. And we need for you to not just listen to us, but to subscribe, to like our videos, like our posts. And we're so excited to bring information and share. And we are just thankful that we've grown. I mean, we were at what? And we never really looked at our numbers, but we were at maybe 300 people on YouTube, and we did one show, and in a week we're at 700. So it doesn't matter who listens. It doesn't matter how many people I have. I'm going to continue to do this. This is what we are. This is what we do. We share information and we live it every day. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your comments, and we will see you next week. I'm sorry. August 1st, we'll have Tony Civilele back on. He's going to do a live remote viewing session, and we're going to do it once a month for people who want to understand how to locate objects, locate anything, just using your subconscious mind. So he's going to be back, and we're going to have a special guest next week speaking about regression therapy. I don't want to say her name yet. She's pretty much confirmed, but I want to kind of hold it until I can get it solidified. But she's one of the top regression therapists out there, and we'll have her on, and we will again come back and revisit the conscience and revisit how she's able to use these techniques to help people heal. So until then, good night, and we will see you later.
Night.
Good night, everybody. Let's get it going. Oh, we got right there. And I don't know what I'm doing these days. It's just kind of one of those deals. Okay, guys, take care. All right, bye-bye.